man may not be on the top of his form, but he can still make himself useful.
Welcome back to the By Design podcast. I'm your host, Ronnie Knuckles. So today we are getting back into our second episode on the series in Mark. Last episode we had high hopes to read all the way through chapter 2. We made it about halfway through chapter 1. And so in this episode we pick back up in Mark 1:21, and we finish out the first chapter. We go through Mark 1:45. So that's the scripture we're going to be reading through today. I hope you guys get a lot of value out of it. If you could, please like and share the show. It goes a long way. I ask it on every episode. We are growing this thing organically. If there's anyone that you think might get some value from this, might learn a little bit from it, send it to them. We'd greatly appreciate that. If you have any questions, please send those into questions@bydesignshow.com. Also, if there's anything you'd like to hear us talk about, or maybe a question that you have that you would like us to answer, please feel free to send that question in to questions@bydesignshow.com. We appreciate you guys listening. Let's get this started. So last week we got into the first part of Mark, and we stopped at 20-ish. Right? Mm-hmm. And so Tim made a good point in that, because we kind of read through and then we realized like these are different scenes, if that makes sense. So like the temptation of Jesus is a different scene than Jesus heals a man with an unclean spirit. So that's where we're going to back up to. We're going to be in Mark 1:21, and we're going to read down to 28, and then we're going to pause, kind of dissect that a little bit. I do have some questions highlighted here, just to kind of help us dive deeper if we need to. We're pretty good at going off on rabbit trails, which we learned and the listeners learned last episode. So with all that said, Tim is going to be our designated Bible reader, and he is going to start us in Mark 1:21, and he is going to stop at Mark 1:28.
Okay. And they went into Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath he entered the synagogue and was teaching. And they were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one who had authority, and not as the scribes. And immediately there was in their synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus rebuked him, saying, "Be silent and come out of him." And the unclean spirit, convulsing in him and crying out with a loud voice, came out of him. And they were all amazed, so that they questioned among themselves, "What is this? A new teaching with authority? He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." And at once his fame spread everywhere throughout all the surrounding region of Galilee.
I think it's super interesting that this man, who was obviously afflicted by a demon, he cries out, "What have you done with us?" So it's one man. "What have you done with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us?" And then these demons acknowledge him. "I know who you are, the Holy One of God." That's super interesting to me. Mm-hmm. So he walks in the room, and they immediately know, like, uh-oh, like this dude's going to cast us out.
Yeah.
And not that the man was even taken over by one demon. He had multiple demons.
I thought it was interesting that it was in a synagogue that this happened in.
That
like
is
a place
interesting.
of worship.
Yeah. That's actually an interesting point.
Yeah.
So I did some research yesterday. It wasn't really tradition then for somebody to walk in and say things with authority, correct? They were kind of like traditional, like just read it straight off, and that's kind of how they did things. But I think the driving point in this was that he was just walking in and he was talking with authority, not only to the people, but with authority enough so that these unclean spirits listen to him as well. And that was a really cool read when I kind of dove into it last night also. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and that is one of the things. So this is him kind of coming out and claiming to have the authority of God. Mm-hmm. And this kind of starts the snowball of, different miracles that he's going to perform. But he comes and does this, and then people, like I think it says right here, what is this? A new teaching with authority. He commands even unclean spirits, and they obey him. And at once his fame spread everywhere. Mm-hmm. So this is not the only thing, but this is like the first trigger of the Pharisees to get on their radar, for them to go, wait, who's this guy that claims to have the authority of God? Now, the problem for them is that he actually does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, they don't necessarily agree with that. But, yeah, this is kind of his first, I am who I say I am. You know what I mean? I can walk into a room. And the fact that he didn't even have to say anything to those demons, they knew his presence in the room, which to me proves it even a little more. We know who you are, Jesus of Nazareth. That's wild to think about.
I just don't see how the Pharisees could hear about the things that he's doing and not, want to learn more about him or follow him instead of just rebuking him.
Well, he was threatening their power.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
Because they were, the Pharisees were looked at as...
So it was kind of prideful that...
Oh, yeah.
Well.
They were looked at as the authority on earth. Think of like a rich and powerful pastor, right? Not that those two are the same things, but he's got a lot of power, and a lot of people follow him, and he has a lot of fame, and he makes a lot of money off of this. Well, Jesus is coming in and threatening that. Mm-hmm. And so I don't even think that there may have been some that were like, oh, this dude's legit, but if I follow him, then I lose everything. There's probably a lot of that going on.
Yeah, but you gain nothing in the end.
Yeah, well, we're idiots.
Yeah.
Humans are dumb.
Sure.
Any thoughts? I feel like you have a thought, and you were about to get it out.
I'm just getting the wheels turning here.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is kind of a neat thing for me. It's his first. I think the thing that stands out to me the most is the fact that he didn't have to say, I know this guy has demons. The demons were like, oh, I know who you are. And no one knew that he was claiming to be God at this point. But the demon said, the Holy One of God. So they've met each other before, maybe perhaps in the war when they were cast out of heaven. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's some indication to know who he is.
I wonder who the guy was. Did he wander in off the street?
That's what I'm saying.
Or
if he was
he trying to infiltrate the
before
church?
that, yeah.
Was he already there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jesus was teaching with such authority that he just was like, his demons just came alive and took over for a minute.
They couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we don't know.
If he's teaching with divine authority, okay, then I don't know. They have no choice. You know what I mean? It's
they can't be
it's like
in the
when
room.
you're in class, your teacher's teaching, you have to do what your teacher says, right? They have the authority. So if you're already in that church and those demons possessed someone and tried to infiltrate this church and they're already there, and then Jesus comes in and starts teaching with this authority, and then they just kind of well up in surprise, and I don't know, maybe they felt like they were backed into a corner, so they had to come out and try to save themselves or something.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of weird.
I don't think that those unclean spirits can be in the presence of the one true God.
Right.
Like they just can't exist in the same space.
But you think for self-preservation they would have just not done that.
Yeah. Or maybe God allowed them to be there for this exact thing to happen.
And maybe Jesus knew.
Yeah.
And was teaching something so specifically in such a way that would draw them out so he could show.
Right.
This is what's been going on.
I don't know how many times we're going to keep going back to The Chosen. But it shows Jesus orchestrating things in that way. And I think that happened some, you know,
Yeah.
like he knows a thing.
And he knows that what he's saying and how he's saying it is going to cause a certain reaction.
Right. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to getting demons out of somebody, I would presume that was something he had a little bit of foresight on.
Yeah, he does it a lot, actually. In fact, he's getting ready to do it again.
I just wonder what all the people in the synagogue were thinking when they were seeing this.
Oh, they had to be
tripping.
baffled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an exorcism.
Yeah.
Yeah, in their like they're bamboozled.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they've
look,
never
that's-
seen that.
that.
That's probably something they had never seen or heard of before, and then they're seeing it firsthand. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Just being shocked.
I'm not much of like a descriptive reader. I'm just kind of reading the stuff, but I mean, if you look at how they all responded, they were all amazed, so that they questioned among themselves, "What is this? A new teaching with authority?" I mean, they were like beside themselves.
Yeah. How could you not be?
He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him. They were stunned.
Yeah, that had never
Yeah.
been a thing before. For us, we've read about Jesus doing it multiple times, and even people through the power of Christ doing it. You know,
You could read it a million times, you'd still be stunned.
but back then, it's like, yeah, and it was like in their face.
And if we saw it today, we'd still be stunned.
Yeah.
We've heard about it.
Oh, dude, yeah. If you saw that in front of your
So-
face, and it's weird. Like in today's world, we don't hear about people being like possessed. Back then, it was like a thing, but today, with drugs and our culture, I think a lot of it is people are afflicted demonically, and they get into heavy drugs, and it either they end up taking their life, or maybe they get brought through that and come out of that. But I think some of that is demonic oppression on these people, and today we just don't see it like that, or it isn't spoken about like that.
Well, you hear people
know what I
say
mean?
fighting their demons. So
Yeah, I mean that's the expression, but I think there's some validity
essentially,
to that.
sin is your demons. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I mean your demons.
It's
you,
their weapon.
Yeah, they use that against
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this is completely off topic, but while we were reading it, talking about the demon thing, we went to they had a Christmas walk through Bethlehem at Hillview Community Christian Church, which I grew up in Hillview and like never went to this thing, so I don't know if it's new or whatever. But they had like a live camel, and they had people dressed up as Roman guards, and you walk through or whatever. And Owen is like he likes free stuff, man. Like if you take him to somewhere and they like a festival,
Same.
and there's free bracelets or cups or keychains or whatever, he loads up on it. So we get to the end, and they had like free Bibles for kids, and then like free Christian books. And he was like, "Can I get this book?" And it was a huge like adult book, super thick, like 500 pages. And I was like, I mean, you can, but are you sure you want that book? Because that's like, you're not going to read that. But it had a sword on it, and it looked cool.
yeah,
And he was like, "No, I really want it." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's free. You can take it. I don't care." So we get home, and I was talking to Brad, my brother-in-law, about it, and he was like, he looked at the book, and it was like, "How to ward off demons through the power of Christ's Holy Spirit." It had like a sword on it. And I was like, "Oh, dang, man, this is pretty serious." I didn't read the title when we picked it up at the thing. I was like, "Yeah, you can get it." Anyway.
Hey, that boy's gonna be ready.
Yeah, I was like, all right. I mean, whatever. This little passage reminded me of that. All right, so we're getting into where Jesus heals many. I thought that read Mary for some reason. I thought it was about to talk about Mary Magdalene, so my bad. Okay, so you want to pick back up in 29, Tim, and stop at 34?
Yeah.
Okay.
And immediately he left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's mother-in-law lay ill with a fever, and immediately they told him about her. And he came and took her by the hand and lifted her up, and the fever left her, and she began to serve them. That evening at sundown they brought to him all who were sick or oppressed by demons, and the whole city was gathered together at the door. And he healed many who were sick with various diseases, and cast out many demons. And he would not permit the demons to speak, because they knew him.
Man.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
What an odd series of events
I
to be in that city.
I just wonder what the significance of Simon's mother-in-law is in this. Like,
Well,
he healed her.
I mean, I know that.
And
but
he-
I'm
so
saying,
Simon's
like,
following him
They
at-
specifically mention her.
What I think
Mm-hmm.
is funny is that he heals her and she gets up and starts serving them.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I'm good. Y'all want to eat dinner?" You know what I mean? She's about to die.
Probably the least she could do.
She probably left something cooking, and she was like, "Oh no, my biscuits."
I just wonder how long she had been sick for. I mean, they say she has a fever, but I don't know how bad fevers were back in that time. Obviously, they don't have the healing that we have nowadays or medicine.
Yeah, I mean, you catch a
wouldn't
cold
think.
back then, it could mean that you're dead.
That's
might
what
be
I'm
it for you.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you ain't got a good immune system.
I don't know. I just didn't know if there was any significance, like with her, just because they mention her, specifically whenever he's healing all these people.
Yeah,
I think
you
it's
looking
just
up the
a-
significance, Dakota. Yeah, I know there. I think there is some significance because I've heard it. I've heard this preached on before. The house of and Simon and Andrew were brothers, and then James and John were brothers, right? So you got two sets of brothers here.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon's mother-in-law. Oh yeah, this is portrayed in.
The Chosen, I would
I'm not
assume.
going to ruin it.
Yes, Simon's mother-in-law in Mark 1:29-31 is significant because her healing by Jesus demonstrates his divine authority over sickness, compassion for individuals, including women, and sets a pattern for discipleship as she immediately rises to serve, symbolizing restoration and participation in kingdom service.
Okay.
Her story highlights Jesus' power to overcome death's shadow. Fevers were serious and emphasizes the communal, formal-oriented nature of the early disciples, showing Jesus' ministry touching everyday life and calling people to service, not just men.
I like
Gotcha.
that.
There
Okay.
we go. There we go. That's
I think
what
this
needed.
is, I guess, that is a good point because this is the first mention of a woman where he's coming and healing, a woman. So this is for everybody.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which by the time, or in the time when this was written, was a thing. Like most texts didn't talk about women, so this was kind of like a new thing, a liberal thing.
I think it was probably just a little bit of a matter of like proximity too. So Simon had already started following Jesus. So once he saw Jesus cast the demon out of the guy in the synagogue, he was probably like, "You know what, man? I got something for you.
My mother-in-law might have a demon.
Yeah, check this out.
Seems like
Okay.
something
Yeah.
a dude would say.
She needs
see
to be
that.
dealt with."
I can see that.
Yeah, and so again, it goes back to this. And he healed many who were sick with various diseases and cast out many demons. And he would not permit the demons to speak because they knew him. That's just what, I don't know why I've never realized this until just now, like as we're reading it in little sections. But these demons know him. You don't know somebody unless you've met them before or seen them before.
You can hear about him.
You can hear about him, but it doesn't say that. It says they knew him.
Right, but
So, but my thing is, in our last episode we talked about how
I guess knowing him and knowing about him
yeah,
are two different things.
yeah, I knew of him.
Yeah.
I guess is a different thing. But they know that he's the truth. They know him better than the people around him that he's talking to at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and other than John the Baptist, is this the first mention? The demon was the first one to acknowledge him as the Holy One of God.
As the Holy One of God. But this is my point because this is kind of ties in beautifully to the first episode that we had because we talked about the battle in heaven and where Satan and fallen angels were cast down. Jesus is infinite. He was there. He wasn't the Son of God all of a sudden. He was there during that battle. So in my mind, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a Bible scholar that could talk about this differently. But in my mind, they knew him, and they've said it twice. Do they not remember him from that battle? You know what I'm saying? And they're like, "Oh, I know the power this guy has. I can't be here." You know what I mean? And then he's showing his authority by saying he wouldn't even let them speak.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good point.
To me, that's just he's like quietly putting his thumb on them too. So he's healing the people, but then he's also like, "Oh, by the way, I have power over you." I don't know. That's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
Like, don't forget, I knew
he's
I was there.
advancing the kingdom.
Right.
He
The battle that happened in heaven is continuing on even through here.
Yeah.
Even through this.
Yeah.
And he's actually using the demons against himself because they're proving him
Right.
by saying, "Oh, you're the actual Son of God." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Which proves that he is
Yeah.
in some weird way. I
And
mean, you
then
know what I mean?
That just makes me want to go back to Worsley's thought about how did the Pharisees not see this?
Yeah.
Well, they did. That was the problem.
They had to have.
That was the problem.
And then
Because
they still
they
weren't
knew
willing.
they knew all the scripture, bro. They knew what this was, and they didn't want to let go of power and money and fame, and all these superficial things that they had established for themselves.
I just wonder how long they were stuck at that house with him healing all these people. They said the whole city gathered.
Oh yeah, they were back then. It was that was the thing. They didn't have TV or anything to distract them. You know, this was like a huge.
Just walking to the front door and he's like, healed.
Yeah, he was getting tired too.
Think of all the
He's
people
like, "Come
that are
on,
out there
man!
waiting."
You just been eating." He's like, "You just been eating bad food, dude. You just need to stop eating bad food. You're fine."
Somebody walks in with a cookie and he just smacks it out of their hand. He's
like, "Get out!"
You're healed.
What did they have for dessert back then?
Raisin bread or something like that.
Wine.
Hey, you were off the top with that. Like you thought about it.
Oh, he
before.
knew.
I know what I'd be eating back then.
From The Chosen.
Oh.
What's their favorite dish that their Ema makes?
Oh, I don't know.
They're a who?
I don't remember. Ema, Mama.
James and John,
Is it raisin bread?
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like olives were a big thing back then. They probably had some good jams.
They probably had
Figs? Some
good
fig
olive
jams?
oil. Yeah.
Bet they had some good fig jams.
Olive
Oh,
jam
yeah.
sounds like the worst.
I didn't
thing
mean olives.
ever.
I meant figs, but whatever.
I was about to say, what?
But they
Olives are
definitely had.
disgusting.
I
They
didn't
definitely
think
had
olives
some
could
good,
be
some
anything
good
dessert
oil.
related.
They're probably dipping that bread in it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
They didn't have sugar though. I don't think it was a thing.
We're getting off the rails a little
Yeah,
bit
sorry.
They
here.
had Diet Coke though, didn't they?
Yeah, Diet Coke.
They had Diet Coke,
Yeah.
Coke Zero.
Jesus turned
Yeah.
water into Diet Coke. Actually,
That's what you get at McDonald's. That's why it's so good. He's got a contract with the McDonald's, bro.
all right. So
All their beverages.
we're in 30. We're in 35 now. So
Yeah.
we'll go from. So now he's starting to preach. So we're going to go from 35 to 39.
Okay.
By the way, okay, you guys don't have red text. Dang, I should have got
Yeah.
some red
We got
text. ones.
quotes.
Okay. I just like when Jesus talks.
Yeah.
Then it kind of,
You know for sure.
I
that
So
do
in
like it when it's
38,
red.
in 38, that verse is him talking. So when it says, "And he said to them," and beyond that is Jesus talking. I just think it's kind of cool to hear, to be able to see what he said himself. Anyway, all right, go ahead, Tim. 35.
All right. So whole city's at the house. They go to bed at some point. And rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed and went out to a desolate place, and there he prayed. And Simon and those who were with him searched for him. And they found him and said to him, "Everyone is looking for you." And he said to them, "Let us go on to the next towns, that I may preach there also, for that is why I came out." And he went throughout all Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and casting out demons.
he was on a tear.
So
He
yeah,
was.
he's like,
He was on tour.
this is like the first wave of attack in his.
He was on
in
his
the
This is his
spiritual warfare.
breakout. This is his
a
breakout
demon
party. You know what
casting
I mean?
out tour,
Yeah,
He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, I know, I
That'd
got
been
him
sick.
now.
preaching tour.
Yeah, he was going crazy.
could you imagine? Everybody gets so excited about Forrest Frank tours coming to town.
Yeah,
Imagine if
you got
Jesus,
the Son of God
If
coming
it was
to town.
like, what would it be called? Do you think?
The revival.
The Cast Them Out tour.
Ooh,
Huh?
okay.
Too basic.
That's
Yeah.
that's too.
It's a little
That's too
cringy.
straightforward. It's got to be.
Wow, we got the cops going hard right here all of a
That'd be
sudden.
an ambulance. God help them. Either way,
Yeah.
What would be a good tour name for Jesus? He like posting on his Instagram the tour cities and all that stuff.
Fear
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Lamb tour.
wine and wailing.
I'm thinking of something with authority. 'Cause that's where it kind of started.
The Lion of Judah tour.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
It gives me metal vibes, and he was kind of metal. All right. Anyway, we are going to get hung up here if we keep on going.
No, that's the point, man.
So
We
we're
gotta title the tour.
almost done. We're almost done with chapter 1. I think what we need to do today. Let's go ahead and finish chapter 1, and then we will
Okay.
stop at 2, and then we'll get back into 2 tomorrow morning. I mean, we've got time today, but I feel like we're getting through some good things, and I don't want to get too far and muddy the water up.
Yeah, we don't have to get crazy.
He doesn't want to
today.
peel any onions
There,
back.
I do want to peel one onion back.
There you go.
And I think if we finish one, we'll still have time to do that at the end, because I had it highlighted, and I think it's super cool, because it kind of goes back to the first episode, but it's talking about John the Baptist. And I think it would be neat to go back into Isaiah real quick before we wrap. So I think we finish chapter 1, and then we can spend the last few minutes going back into that and looking at how
Run through those questions real quick.
how
Okay.
800 years before
Yep.
this all ever happened, it was already talked about. Which you were talking about in the last episode, like you had brought up, like I'm a logical guy, I like things to be
Yeah.
talked about logically, but and I think prophecy has a way of bringing logic kind of full circle, because you can't logically explain certain things in the Bible. You just can't. But if that thing was predicted 800 years before it happened, and these authors never met each other, that kind of bridges the gap.
I feel like prophecy,
does that make sense?
Prophecy pretty much proves faith.
It does. And to a logical mind, to me, prophecy, because I'm kind of that way too. That's why I struggled a long time, because I'm like, some of the stuff just, it's just a lot. And it does take faith. It took me a while to understand that. But when I started looking at how many prophecies had been fulfilled and the odds that they would be fulfilled, I'm like, okay, well, it helped it make sense for me.
Right.
A little bit more. It helped it prove it to me.
Right.
A little bit more, because I'm kind of a natural skeptic of things. And so
That was a really good way to say that. Prophecy proves faith.
I think it does.
I think your faith can definitely come, and maybe even should come, before
The understanding of things.
before you try to wrap your head around stuff. I think it needs to be. I don't know.
Well, I know what you're saying. I think
Well, if
the
you try
reality
to
is,
connect all the dots, the Bible's really complex and hard to do that. So that's why you have to break it up into sections and really just kind of dissect each one and understand what's going on.
Yeah, but then also I think like where you're at, like you're pursuing this thing, right? And then so if we're going back and showing like, oh, this happened, and it was said 800 years ago right here, and that's what this means. Like that's proving
It's a connecting
to you.
dot. Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the right track
Yeah.
here.
and to me, that was powerful for me when I started to pursue it and get into it. And I just think
Right.
it would be neat to kind of look at. I don't know, dude. It's just I'm not that I argue with people about it a lot, but if I ever am, I'm like, okay, well then how do you explain this text happened around 70 AD, and the text in Isaiah happened 800 years before that?
Yeah, I mean, people just can just debunk and say, I
Yeah,
don't believe the timeline. and
they
stuff like
will,
That. So that's just
yeah.
them deflecting. But it is all faith based. It has to be faith based.
Well-
but faith helps prove, or prophecy helps prove faith. In
But
instances
and then
like this.
there's so they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which I think is because that's why I like this Isaiah thing,
Yeah.
because that's a lot harder to say. Oh well, that's just
Some people
made
are
up.
just like naive too, and they just don't want to believe
They
it.
don't want to believe, because if it's true, if this is true, then you have to change.
Yeah.
You
If
know?
you don't have an
Yeah.
open mind going into the Bible, it won't. I'm not gonna say it won't do anything for you, but you won't believe it.
Well, if you don't open your heart up to it, I don't know. Tim and I talk sometimes, and we say, like you'll hear celebrities and stuff, and they'll give God credit, and even though maybe they're not living that way, or even though that's their own personal thing, or you'll see people like reading scripture in a movie or saying something godly in a movie just because that's their line. But I think even those little bit of instances, God can use that
Yeah.
to penetrate their hearts. And so, anyway, I know I can go way off on that rabbit hole, but I like going back. I think it helped me kind of go, okay, all right, well, that's a lot harder for me to debunk,
Yeah.
and it helped me kind of build on my faith. So,
Yeah.
40 to 45 real quick.
Okay. All right, so Jesus is going all throughout Galilee on his demon tour. And a leper came to him, imploring him and kneeling to him, If you will, you can make me clean. Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand and touched him and said to him, I will, be clean. And immediately the leprosy left him, and he was made clean. Hallelujah. And Jesus sternly charged him and sent him away at once. and said to him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer your excuse me.
You're good. I know it gets a little weird.
But go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded, for a proof to them." But he went out and began to talk freely about it and to spread the news, so that Jesus could no longer openly enter a town, but was out in desolate places, and people were coming to him from every quarter.
That dude got healed and immediately was like, I gotta go tell everybody.
Yeah.
Jesus was like, "Don't tell nobody." He's like, all right. Cool.
I got
You
you, bro.
won't guess what happened.
I got you, bro.
Check it out.
Y'all ain't gonna believe this.
Look at my hands.
This might be a dumb question.
Honestly, though, I feel him. I'd probably do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, didn't the woman at the well do that? Well, I think we'll probably get to her.
Yes.
In a little while, but she did the same thing.
But I don't think he told her not to tell anybody.
Yeah, I think at that point he was like, I already know. She's going to tell people.
What's your question, Blue?
Sorry.
Like I said, might be a dumb question, but was leprosy contagious?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the significance of him actually touching it.
Right. There's a little note
Showing
in here I
it.
saw,
Okay.
too. Let's
That's
see.
what I thought. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, and like it was people, if you had leprosy, you couldn't go near a town. You were shunned.
Exiled.
That's what I
Yeah,
was
because if you came around and you touched somebody, I think it had to be.
And it's just another look, bro. Let me read this note.
All right,
It's
all right,
just
hit it.
it's just another push in the kingdom warfare here. He's just flipping everything on its head. So Jesus' love, mercy, and power are such that his touch, instead of making Jesus unclean, actually makes the leper clean. So he just flipped it all the way around, because
that's cool.
lepers would be cast out of the cities, and they would live
What is a leper?
in
Someone
these
with leprosy?
desolate places.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
They got that name. You had like your own name for having leprosy.
Yeah, you were a leperer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kingdom Warfare Tour?
shunned.
Ooh, I like that.
That ain't
Or,
bad.
hold on,
I ain't
hear me
bad
out.
at
The One. It's kind of giving Backstreet Boys vibes, though.
The One Tour?
The One. I don't know, man.
Maybe the Holy One.
Kingdom Warfare Tour is kind of
Kingdom Warfare is pretty, I mean, I like
Yeah.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
The Crusade. No? Nobody? Okay.
didn't land.
No. Kingdom Warfare, wine and wailing.
No, there's no wine and
No?
wailing.
What's wine and wailing, though? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it
changes
sounds
water
cool.
to wine, and then the demons
Whale.
wail.
Okay.
Whale? It just,
But I'm also seeing like blue whales. In
yeah,
my mind.
I'm thinking of a whale in the ocean.
Yeah. We're getting off. We're
So
getting off.
Jesus told the
They were
guy,
probably some whalers.
he told him not to say anything to anyone,
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude's hype.
and then he was so, hyped up
Filled
that
with
he
the Spirit,
immediately
bro.
We
was
would
just,
all do the same exact thing, probably.
I mean,
yeah.
I get that, but it's like, the man just healed you and then
And
told
leprosy
you
was
to
a
just go to
brutal-
the priest, and he couldn't contain it.
But think about this too. Some people might have known him as a leperer. Like they're like, "Oh, it's Bill,"
It's
and then he just looks fine, and they're like, "Bill," and he's like, "I'm healed." You know what I mean?
They said, "What in God's name?"
Well, I mean,
And he
yeah,
said, "Exactly."
you might have to explain yourself.
Yeah, well, or because what are you gonna do, man? You're just gonna like, I can't talk about it.
it
I gotta go see the
disappeared.
priest. Yeah.
I mean, I just wonder if he was trying to make it to the priest, and like people saw him coming, and he had to explain himself.
Or they were like trying to get away from him, and
Yeah.
he's just like so excited. He's like, "It's fine, I'm healed."
He like walks up to somebody. He's like,
I don't know
you
why
won't
he's
believe
got
this.
I don't know why
the
he's
dude's like, just like,
Why does he have a southern accent all of a sudden?
shake for 5, please.
But essentially, him like going out and telling all those people is, the reason why Jesus kind of had to, like it says in the text, hide out in desolate places.
Yeah, they would come to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would kind of like park outside of a big town, and then people would go in and be like, "Hey, Jesus is over here." Like if we live in Louisville, he's like, "Hey, Jesus is in Mount Washington," and then they would all just come out. Kind of cool. So it's kind of like the Jason Aldean farm tour, if you think about it.
Not too familiar with that tour.
No way.
So they would go to like
man.
Farms.
Simpsonville, Shelbyville.
Oh, you're being serious.
They actually did this, and like people from big cities would drive out, and they'd have a concert at a farm. But I mean,
I see the connection now.
yeah. So Jesus would set up somewhere that's out kind of rural because he couldn't go into a town because it would get too crazy.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to leave for days.
It's that. So we're going to get into that, but it's interesting how Jesus was human, and he got tired. And I think it's interesting too. We kind of glazed over it in the beginning, or not in the beginning, but at some point where he He gets up early in the morning before the sun comes up and goes away by himself and prays.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, we talked about this in the first episode, but he is God, but he's still fully human because he has to be our sacrifice, be the sacrifice in our stead. And he has to actually go out and pray to God the Father for strength. You know what I mean? And I think that's interesting.
So it talks about that in verse 35.
Yeah, I knew we kind of...
Rose very early in the morning while it was still dark. He departed and went out to a desolate place, and there he prayed.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, might not be in Mark, but there's a verse that says, like, Jesus often withdrew to
Connect with God.
desolate
Yeah, to
places or quiet places to pray.
Well, didn't he get on a
So
boat?
that was a practice. He made a practice of that. It wasn't just like a random thing like, oh, I had a long day, I'm going to go out and pray. It was like a scheduled thing. He had, in it, at least in his own mind, he knew, I'm going to do this once a day or as often as I can. This is my like...
Well, his cup was probably. I mean, he
Showtime.
was probably getting tired. I think there is. I think there's some scripture too where after he feeds the 5,000, doesn't he like get in a boat and he's like, I'm going to the other side of the lake by myself, and then he gets over there.
Yeah.
And then some like they see him going over there, and then people start to go to the other side. Go to the like try to, yeah. I don't know exactly the whole. We'll have to get into it, but real quick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Before we wrap, I want to back up a little bit. So. When we started Mark, it talks about John the Baptist is like the first one. So the actual title of Mark 1:1 through 1:8, it talks about John the Baptist, and I don't have to get into all of it. But John appeared baptizing in the wilderness and proclaiming a baptism of repentance. John the Baptist is. It even kind of reiterates it at the beginning here, but John the Baptist is preparing the way for Christ. Okay, he is proclaiming that the Son of God is coming. He's baptizing people. But his existence had already been predicted 800 years before. Okay? So if you go back to Isaiah, we're going to do 52:13. It says, Behold, my servant shall act wisely, and he shall be high and lifted up, and he shall be exalted. Okay? So that is talking about the coming servant, right? Then in Isaiah 53:3, it goes on to talk about Jesus. He was despised, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and is one from whom men hid their faces. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. So it's talking about Christ here, saying that Christ is going to come, and he's eventually going to be despised for who he is. And this is... if you read the entire chapter of Isaiah 52 through 53, it goes into more detail. But these are things that I'm saying were written 800 years before that. Now, talking about John the Baptist. I'm sorry, I know I'm going on a tangent.
Well, let's pause there for just a second.
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
In episode 1 of Mark, I feel like we should have brought these verses up there, because this is kind of what we were talking about. We had like a little bit of a back and forth about how when Christ was led to the wilderness to be tempted, and then again there's a part in Hebrews where it talks about how because he went through that temptation, which was the plan all along, he has that compassion and understanding for us.
Yeah.
You know, acquainted with grief, a man of sorrows. He gets that.
Well, and I think in this life, we are... It's hard, and we experience pain more often than we experience happiness.
Oh yeah.
And I think we can get lost in that. And I think sometimes we can feel like it's just us. You know, like people are supposed to be happy. People aren't supposed to be happy in this world. This world is full of sin. In fact, the opposite is true. Not that you shouldn't be happy, but happiness is the exception to the rule, I think. But we find our strength and our courage through Jesus. But when we're dealing with those times that are hard and difficult, we can look to this and know that Jesus is described as a man of sorrows. Like he has been there. He understands what it feels like. And I think that's kind of in the prophecy, he was rejected. They hated him. So when we're dealing with these hard times, which we will deal with more often than we will be happy and everything will be perfect, we're serving a God who also knows what that's like. I think that's important.
And it's almost like part of the victory is like we get to do what Christ did in a sense, you know.
Yeah, and
That's
but
like
and the
taking
thing
up the
is,
cross.
he has already made the sacrifice in our stead, so we don't have to be perfect, and we don't have to suffer perfectly because he already did. Does that make sense? We can give it to him in those times when we are struggling, but the expectation for us is just to do that, just to put it on him, because he's already done it. He has already done what we cannot do. So, real quick, so this is talk. My main point, I read the wrong part of Isaiah, which it kind of worked out, but my main point was trying to how Isaiah predicted John the Baptist. So that's actually in Isaiah 40, verse 3. And it said, a voice cries in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up, every mountain and hill be made low. The uneven ground shall become level, and the rough places a plain. And the glory of God shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken. So this is saying, it's kind of talking about John the Baptist in the beginning. Like there's a voice coming from the wilderness. Well, and then it talks about John being out in the wilderness and proclaiming the gospel and making the way. And then it talks about the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. So, our reading today was talking about how all flesh is seeing it. So it was revealed here, and now we're into the revealing.
I just wonder if John got to read Isaiah after all of this. He was like, "Oh, that's me. I'm that guy."
I don't know. Did they? I don't know if they had Isaiah in. Isaiah existed when they existed, but I don't know if it was part of the Torah. I don't think it was. But I don't know. They found scrolls of Isaiah in Israel recently, and it was dated a long time ago. I think we talked about this in another episode. It's the whole book of Isaiah. They found it in a cave, and it was written on old scroll paper, and they took it and lined it up with the book of Isaiah that we have today, and it read exactly line by line. It hadn't changed in thousands of years.
So check this out. The Pharisees had access to the book of Isaiah, and not only access, but deep familiarity with it. So they knew. They knew who John the Baptist was.
And they see it right in front of their face.
Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't, because it's maybe hard to see that in front, right when it's happening. But as time goes on and Jesus begins to perform miracles and claims to be who he is, you got to know at that point. Maybe not right out of the gate. John the Baptist, I can maybe give them a little bit of grace and say they thought he was a crazy guy, right? But then when Jesus comes on the scene and starts actually performing miracles, then that's gone. Then
All
you
that
go,
has to go out the
oh,
window,
wait a minute. It already says this. So...
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I wanted to look up what you were talking about that. And they found it in 1947.
Yeah.
So not necessarily that recent, but recent enough.
Well, yeah,
they
given
found
the
it
time frame.
near Qumran Cave 1, near the northwest shore of the Dead Sea, a nearly complete 24-foot-long parchment scroll of the entire book of Isaiah written in Hebrew. It is the oldest known complete copy, proving the remarkable preservation of the biblical texture over centuries, and is a cornerstone of the Dead Sea Scrolls collection.
That's just super cool to me, man.
That is crazy.
That is
Could you
really
imagine
neat.
just being like
The dude defines that?
yeah, you're out there, and you just go into a cave and find a book, and
Yeah.
just being like, what?
Yeah.
That'd be wild. Who do you contact for that?
It's a great
I
question.
don't know. Probably a museum.
Archaeologists.
Archaeological
Archaeological societies.
archaeological curator.
Yeah, so
Archaeological
7
curator.
scrolls were found.
Yeah, I knew there were some others. I didn't know what books and stuff.
2,000-year-old Great Isaiah Scroll is the most famous. Contains over 25% of all biblical text among the scrolls.
Crazy.
The scroll is now housed at the Shrine of the Book in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem.
Yeah, I want to go to Jerusalem, check it out.
Let's go.
We should go.
This says, do
be
the
sweet.
We should
Dead
go. That'd be
Sea
sweet.
Scrolls contradict the Bible?
Oh, don't get into all that right now. They don't, but please don't. Please don't get into that.
Isaiah 53 is called the Forbidden Chapter.
What?
That's the chapter we just read.
Yeah. What'd you just point at me
Forbidden
for?
by whom?
By the Jews, I would assume.
Whoa. What a
Well.
coinky-dink.
It says it's a forbidden chapter because it's detailed prophecy of a suffering and rejected servant who atones for their sins, strongly resembles Jesus Christ, leading Jewish leaders to omit from the synagogue readings to avoid Christian claims that it proves Jesus is the Messiah.
What are y'all doing?
I mean, come on, man.
What y'all doing?
What do they do? Why would they do that? They accept it all except for the part about Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
all right,
nobody
bro.
thinks that. And they,
Yeah, that
and,
doesn't make sense.
And the people that go to Jewish church don't think that's
Jewish church.
suspicious.
Jewish church.
Yeah, it's like, okay, man. It's like they wrote all of this, and you all think it's legit, and then but 53, nah.
No,
We don't believe
everything
that
else
part.
is true, but that was not.
Yeah, it's
That,
weird.
and that ain't ringing any
Yeah, that don't make
alarm
sense.
bells for anybody.
It's a weird vibe, dude. It's a weird vibe.
That's odd.
Yeah, it just says to avoid Christian claims that it proves Jesus is the Messiah, though it's not truly banned, but rather a point of significant theological tension and different interpretations, with many Jews seeing the servant as the nation of Israel.
Yeah, but then, oh, here we go.
No. Let's just not.
All right.
Hey, I'm just gonna say it. Y'all wrong. All right. The end.
But also,
That's all we need to say.
Period.
yeah,
I know what you mean. I know where you're going. He calls himself Israel. Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, all right. Y'all good? We could go. I'm getting a little fired up about it. So if we don't move
Yeah.
on, we got another recording at 10 a.m. We'll be here for a while. But that is interesting to me
Yeah, it's,
that they leave it out because it disproves like their entire thing.
that was a good find.
pick and
Was
choose
a good
what you
find.
want to
Was a good find.
accept and not accept.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Be about it.
Just doesn't add up.
All right, guys. For all of you listening and watching, I appreciate it. I have seen some comments on YouTube, which is cool. We had 6 views in a comment. People said they really enjoyed
nice.
groups of guys getting together and getting back into the Word.
Nice.
We're just trying, man.
Some people said they enjoy it. Like, let's make faith mainstream again. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope that you're learning and getting some value out of this the way that we are. We're going to continue on in Mark. The next Bible study episode, we will be in Mark 2. Jesus continues to heal here. He continues to call people. So there'll be a lot of really good conversations coming up.
6 views? We're YouTubers now.
I know, dude. I was like, oh, boy.
I think we're YouTubers now.
6 views.
Hashtag Christian influencers.
Yeah,
That
I
is
think,
the-
I
so-
think we can all quit our day jobs.
Our
now.
biggest following is on social media. We don't do good on YouTube, mainly because we
6
were
views. That's crazy.
we were inconsistent.
4 of those is probably 10.
Yeah. Right.
Probably. He's checking the quality.
Yeah.
Hey, but out of 6 views, and we'll take a
take
comment.
We'll take it.
But my thing is, you bring this up, which is a good point. We're growing this organically. We're not running ads for anybody. We're not even running ads for our own company, because I believe that if we just give you guys the real us and we invite you into our conversations and you guys get some value from that, I believe that we'll grow through that. I don't think I need to run ads and sponsorships to make money. That's not the goal.
I mean, the outreach is fun too, but keeping it intimate and keeping it to what it is just as fun.
It
too.
is just as fun. And if we
So-
can do that for now, let's do that.
Yeah.
And
Would we advertise like small local Christian owned and operated brands?
That's just a different.
yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. And most of our listeners are not local to us. They are.
Of course, yeah.
So anyway, Tim, we'll have that conversation at another time.
Fine.
But my thing is this: if you guys could share the show organically, that helps us a lot. It helps us spread our reach. We're trying to obviously bring you guys in if you're already believers, but we want to share the gospel. And I think these conversations, we're able to ask questions, and you guys are going to love this. Peel back the onion on things that you can't at church. So if you guys could share this, we would greatly appreciate it. We appreciate you guys listening, and we will see you on the next episode.
Yeah. There's a war going on inside. Just to name a couple, I battle with porn and pride. In a persistent struggle, a reoccurring huddle. A prayer meeting with me and the Holy Spirit. Feeling free, but no, I'm nowhere near it. But thank God for his conviction. The awkward part of me that may leave others in suspicion and call me into question. I confess my addiction. Know it's a lethal weapon. May compromise the mission. Being proselytized from this humanistic system. You think about that.